Hi guys, welcome to Raising Vibrations with myself, Simon. Today I'm going to be continuing with the Pluto series that I have been recently creating, and we're moving on to Pluto in the 6th house, or essentially Pluto in Virgo as a generation. And yeah, this is a pretty interesting symbolic representation with the sign in this house, because it's definitely quite intense, and it's also a shift in soul dynamics. And that's what I think that makes it really interesting and fun to become aware of. So firstly, again, like I say with all my videos, if this is the first time you're watching this video and you haven't watched the introduction video, I highly suggest that you guys go do that right now, simply because of the fact that I explore specifically what Pluto represents within the astrology charts. I give a broad sort of perspective on that, and then it kind of like works in tangent or correlates with your specific placement of Pluto in your astrology chart. So it gives a little bit more awareness on that one, okay? So yeah, like I said, just check that out, and then come over and watch this video and all the other ones as well. Right, so Pluto in Virgo is, like I said, a very interesting dynamic, because basically the Virgo Pisces archetype is a energy signature that kind of allows the universe to separate itself from the I and others, okay? In other words, my identity and the ego and society's identity, okay? The inner world and the outer world. And so Virgo and Pisces actually are opposite each other, and they split the two in half, and they kind of like give us a representation of how to integrate from the inner world into the outer world, and the outer world back into the inner world. So when Pluto comes through in the 6th house or in Virgo, we're naturally looking at souls that have come into this incarnation where they have previously been learning how to deflate the ego. They're learning how to become more awake and aware of the other people that exist within society, within the world, other than themselves. So what happens is that you experience the Leo archetype, which comes before Virgo, and Leonic energy is the top of the pyramid over there, and everything revolves around me, and rightfully so in that sense, because it teaches us how to attract attention to us, okay? Whereas Virgo comes along and says, okay guys, now what we've got to do is we've got to kind of flip that the other way around and put Leo at the bottom, in other words, myself at the bottom, and we've got to look at the cosmos and see that there are other people out there that we are integrating with, that we are a part of. And so through that process, the 6th house and Virgo people with Pluto will come through to acknowledge that there is a deep unconscious desire to be of service to people. And through that process of being of service, putting yourself last, for instance, or learning to put others in front of you and to be of service to them. Which is why Virgo in itself, or Pluto and Virgo people, will naturally be drawn towards being service-orientated workers. They would want to create a business where they can be of customer service, where that they can learn the ability to humiliate the ego. And when I use the word humiliate, I don't mean it in the sense of like how we have defined it today. I'm talking just simply about acknowledging the fact that it's not always about us or myself. It is also about the others, and how can I be in step with that process? How can I look at another person and say, how can I be of service to you? What can I do for you? And that type of psychology is necessary for this event. So you guys will naturally come in with that unconscious shifting, going back towards that state of being, and to be of service, and to be humbled, to learn to put yourself second, to put yourself in a way where you can, in a sense, acknowledge all the imperfections that exist within yourself. And so that's what will happen now with Pluto and Virgo, or Pluto in the 6th house, is that you will be naturally drawn towards the inner reflection of yourself. In other words, identifying the inner imperfections that exist within yourself, and through that process, liberate and purify anything that is ego-based, okay? So again, that will be done through having to be of service to other people, having to learn humility, having to learn the word of, humility, basically. And to be humble through that process, to be of service. So another great example is that because the energy of Pluto is so focused, or Virgo and Pluto are so focused inwardly, you're literally at the same time, like I said, not killing out all the imperfections. You will be so self-analytical. You'll be so self-judgmental. You'll be so self-critical, because it is the intention of the energy so finely and acutely directed that you can tend to become so psychologically broken down by your own imperfections that you don't actually move forward and go and do anything with yourself because you feel like you're not worthy enough, that you're not capable enough. And so what happens is that you learn to acknowledge this process, and then through that integrate competence, integrate self-improvement, integrate the awareness that there is always more that you can learn. And so you constantly go through your experience just adding to your self-worth by learning lots of stuff, by integrating that into your life, becoming more competent, taking courses, being mutable in that way, because Virgo, or the sixth house, is a mutable information based house. It's about gathering information and learning and such. So it is all about those things that I've just expressed right now. Unfortunately, what happens with the Virgo archetype within consciousness and within the patriarchal conditioning that we live in today is that it is the archetype of sadomasochism, okay, in tangent with Pisces. And so what generally happens with Pluto and Virgos is that they can be so overwhelmed by everything around them that they'll literally break down and become paralyzed. And so my advice to you guys is to acknowledge this fact. And Jeffrey Wolf Green said this so beautifully. It was like you're a caterpillar that has got 100 legs, for instance, okay, or a centipede, and you're going along the way, and leg 46 breaks, okay, like something happens to it. And because the Virgo Pluto experience will just analyze that completely and acknowledge, oh my God, that there's something wrong with it and I need to fix that, and become all worried and anxiety and panic and stress, etc., that you focus so much on that you forget to actually stop moving forward and realize that there are 99 other legs that are still making you go forward. And so the process creates this paralysis where you just get stuck completely. So the polarity point over here, the integration point over here, the understanding is the Pisces archetype, where you start to integrate the greaterness around you. You start to surrender to that process. You start to acknowledge that there is a divine plan. And with all the details that are around you, you need to become more aware that surrendering to that process and allowing to go with the flow versus looking at the analytical processes and looking at the logic and saying this is the case, but to become more open and aware. And so through that process, allowing you to then let go of that, to see the bigger picture, as it were, and to be more spiritual in that sense. And when I say spiritual, I just mean looking at life and seeing its beauty for what it is and not acknowledging that everything is okay in that period of time. And just going with the flow more often and being more in yourself and so on, okay? So again, with Pluto in Virgo, like I said, there is a lot of patriarchal conditioning of guilt, okay? And this is man-made guilt. Again, you'll feel like every time you do something that there's like loads of guilt associated with it, and you feel guilty for doing this. And sometimes the reason why this is the case is because through reincarnation, you're coming in with an experience of feeling like you were too egotistic in some way, and so therefore is this guilt that allows you to feel humility, and then through that process acknowledge how you work with the greater good. So that's a very big part of Pluto and Virgo as well, that guilt process, and trying to let go of that, and seeing and asking yourself, is this man-made guilt? Is this something that is coming through to you that is irrational, or is it genuine, that you actually hurt somebody and now you need to learn humility and let your ego be deflated in that sense? So that's a really key important fact when it comes to Pluto in Virgo, of course. Okay. All right, guys, thanks very much for allowing me to share that information with you. I hope that the Pluto in the sixth house, or Pluto and Virgo generation, are becoming sort of like more awakened to this experience, and obviously learned something from this. There's still loads of information that are correlating to Pluto in the sixth, or Pluto and Virgo. And one thing that I just wanted to quickly say before I end it off here was that a lot of the Pluto and Virgo generations at this point in time, relative to what I'm observing, and also relative to how I see the shift in awareness and ascension and living more in our hearts and living a higher vibration frequency, is that the Pluto and Virgo generation are here to actually reflect back to us the disconnect that we as human beings have had from our intuitive self, okay? And that's a really important thing to acknowledge over there, because there's a lot of wounding, there's a lot of pain when it comes to Pluto and Virgo generations, and a lot of healing needs to take place as well. The reconnection to the divine feminine, to spirit, to consciousness that exists outside of ourselves and such. All right, guys. If you want to book a reading with myself and know more about your Pluto story, please hit me up at simonforster.com. I truly appreciate all your support and for all the stuff that you guys have been sharing with me. Come over to my site again and book a reading, like I said, as well, and support Raising Vibrations. If you like the content, enjoyed the series, obviously, hit the like and subscribe button. I truly appreciate that as well, guys. And until then, take care. Thanks. Bye.